First story. Cheating wife. Not a happy life. At the time my adventure began I was approximately 29 and she was 23 We met at a party and clicked immediately. We met through mutual friends, but it was not a setup. It turned out that we had several things in common. Among them was that she worked with my mother at that time. My mother had actually mentioned something to me about her in an attempt to set me up. I had a no setup policy, instead preferring to meet someone on my own without having any expectations from friends or family. It was about this time that I was in the process of buying my first house. After we had dated for about a year, I asked her to move in with me. I knew then that I was going to marry her and was waiting for the perfect moment to propose. As luck would have it, I had a business convention in New York City towards the end of the summer, and I thought that would be a great time to ask her to marry me. We were engaged on a lovely evening at the top of the Empire State Building. We were married about a year later. Now, she had a full-time job that didn't pay terribly well, so she decided to get her master's degree, and ended up spending the first 3 of our anniversaries overseas in an immersive graduate program that would allow her to get her degree without missing any work. She was a teacher, obviously. I looked at it as a great opportunity to ease into married life. I was always very active in the summer with a serious passion for golf. The golf season where I live is not very long, usually about 5 months long, so I took every opportunity to play while she was gone. When I got home from golf in the evening, we would talk on the phone. It was evening for me and morning for her, but we still spoke at least every couple of days. During one of our calls in her 3rd and final year of grad school, she mentioned that we needed to talk when she got back home. I was immediately apprehensive and asked her if anything was wrong or if there was something I needed to know about. Of course, I instantly thought she might have strayed, and I asked if our talk had anything to do with another guy. She denied this and said that she missed talking to me and just wanted to spend some time with me alone so we could catch up on everything she had missed the past summer. Now, I trusted her completely and took her at her word that there was no other guy, so I filed it in the back of my mind. Not forgotten, but on a back burner, so to speak. When she got home, it was just like she said. We spent hours talking and making love to make up for lost time. At last her overseas studies were over and we could begin thinking about starting a family. We were both very excited at the prospect of adding children to our family and building memories we could cherish forever. Fast forward about 15 years. By then we had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. During this time we also dealt with health problems that had begun to plague her. After a couple of years, she was diagnosed with epilepsy and required surgery to remove the affected area of her brain. It was a stressful time. The kids were young, and I was working a lot as well as trying to reassure her that everything was going to be fine. Ultimately, the surgery went extremely well. After several months of recuperating, she was finally able to drive again and was excited to reconnect with friends. She started frequenting a friend's house parties with her sisters. She nearly always asked me to go along, but frankly, I wasn't always up for it. Going to the party meant getting home late and then having to take our babysitter home, which meant I wasn't in bed until about half an hour after her. When I did go, I always had a great time and reconnected with a friend in a similar field to mine. We talked about work, sports, and drank a lot of beer. One weekend she was getting ready to go over to the friend's house, and I noticed she was wearing a new bra and panties. I asked her what was so special about that evening, and she said that she was tired of wearing old underwear and wanted something nice to wear when she went out. It made perfect sense. She had dealt with a major health scare and wanted to enjoy time with friends and feel pretty again. I got it. It made perfect sense. She then asked if I was going to the party, and I admitted that it sounded like fun, and that it would be great to spend some time with her, more or less alone with her and not having to attend to our kids' constant needs. She then starts in about me not having to go if I didn't want to. that the party was going to be smaller with just a few girls, hanging out, drinking and talking. I agreed to stay home with the kids and let her have time with her friends. By 2 a.m. she had still not returned home and I began to get worried. She wasn't answering her phone, and I feared that she might have been pulled over after drinking too much. So, I jumped in my car and started to drive over to her friend's house to find out what was going on. As I headed down the street, she passed me in her car, so I turned around and followed her back home. When I got inside, I asked her what the hell was going on, and she said her phone was dead and she had lost track of time. I was angry with her. I told her it was irresponsible of her to be away from home that late when we had young children. What if something had happened to one of them, or me, or her? She said I was overreacting and that we should just go to bed. I was still angry the next morning, but I figured it was just an honest mistake, so I just let life go on. Several weeks later, we were in bed during a weeknight. I had to work the next morning and I was ready for sleep. For those of you with multiple kids, you understand how tired I was after a long day of work and managing the kids when I got home. She was constantly doing schoolwork that she brought home, so it was largely up to me to take care of them. One night she was on her phone texting a friend, I assumed. She was giggling from time to time and I asked her what was so funny. She said it was nothing, but I was curious and asked to see her phone. She said it was none of my business, closed her phone and turned off the light. Alarm bells finally started going off in my brain, and I asked her if she was having an affair, to which she laughed and said of course not. Because I trusted her so much, I dropped it but still felt uneasy. A couple of months later we took a trip to Texas. Up to that time she was still going to parties with her friends, so it wasn't like anything had dramatically changed. We had a great time with the kids, but it was nice to get back home. Once we got settled and unpacked, started laundry, etc., I went downstairs to my man cave and watched a little TV, while the laundry went through the washer and dryer. She came downstairs and said we needed to talk. I was a little annoyed because we had just spent the last 5 days together and had plenty of chances to talk alone. I know she could see I was annoyed, and then she dropped the bomb. She admitted she was having an affair. It took me 2 guesses to figure out who her AP was. It was my old friend from the parties she was constantly going to without me. It was so humiliating. I knew the guy well enough to know he was bragging about it with his co-workers and friends, which made me the cuckold. I asked her to leave the house, but she said the house was just as much hers as it was mine, so she would not leave. I decided to leave, but she begged me not to go because she didn't want the kids knowing something was wrong. I asked her if there had been any other APs, and she responded that she had kissed a guy during one of her graduate summers overseas. Now, I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid. She was the kind of woman who would not admit to cheating so long ago, when we were first married. At that time, she was a bit of a drinker, who would let her wild side show after a few glasses of wine. So, it wasn't a stretch to assume kissing meant sex. I asked if she was planning on moving in with her AP. Once I started doing the math and putting all the subtle clues together, I figured her affair had been going on for at least 6 months, and likely more. She told me that once she told him that she admitted to the affair, he broke up with her and a tear streamed down her face. Whether it was because of shame or the fact he was using her does not matter now. So now I'm in a total spiral and I decided to leave the house. I asked her how she could love me and be so willing to break her vows. She responded with a tried and true, "I don't know if I ever really loved you." A true dagger to the heart. I left my home, and soon after my marriage, I bought a house a couple of miles from my home, so I could stay close to the kids. I spent most of the next couple of years avoiding her at all costs, even though I had to co-parent and had no way of removing all contact with her. Then came COVID. I got a terrible case and spent a month at home feeling like I was going to die most of the time. I recovered, but I dealt with the COVID aftermath for a long time. I was constantly fatigued and had little energy to do much but sleep when I wasn't at work. Then I got cancer. It was caught early but I still required surgery, chemo and radiation therapy. I've recovered and lost a lot of weight that needed to be lost. I've got to admit that I haven't felt this good in a long time. During my illnesses she would bring soup or whatever I was capable of eating. Secretly, I resented her taking care of me so much. I figured that it was her way of trying to atone for the absolute hell I went through after finding out about her affairs. I was seriously suicidal for quite a time and I still get depressed enough that it still comes to mind every so often even 10 years later. Yes, I've been single for the last 9 years and on my own for the last 10. My life is better now. I've got good friends who I can golf and drink beer with. I've got a great dog who sleeps in my bed almost every night. When one of my kids is home from college my dog, will sleep with him. I guess I'm always second fiddle, lol. I have lost the future that I thought I would have. Growing old with my wife, spending more time with the kids and enjoying my retirement. That's mostly vapor now. I still see the kids but my finances have not recovered and retirement seems like a fantasy now. Not for her of course. She got the house and child support leaving me to struggle with making ends meet every single month. I have also lost all trust in women and decided that I will never again be in any kind of serious relationship with a woman. The price is too steep to consider and I will never be able to trust a woman again. I've got one going into junior year of high school. The fight is over. Survival is the name of the game now. I do feel some relief about not wanting to be involved in a relationship anymore. There was a woman who was dropping hint bombs, but I could see the crazy all over her. Never again. Apparently she's not remarried. She's still attractive but the years are catching up to her. Frankly, she could be in a relationship right now for all I know. I'm not sure I want to know. I have taken so many arrows to the heart, I'm not sure if I could handle any more. I'm still heartbroken about the entire situation and feel less than, and that is not a good way to feel. I got him back good enough that he left town with his tail tucked between his legs. Before he moved I saw him at a restaurant with his family. When the affair occurred he wasn't married but he had a fiancée. I stressed out immediately so I had a couple drinks and worked up the courage to confront him in front of his family. She had kids, his were grown. They were a few tables from mine. I had my back turned. By the time I was ready to confront him, he had left. In hindsight it probably worked out for the best. As mad as I was, her kids didn't deserve to get thrown into the middle of that mess. I figure that she will figure it out on her own if she hasn't already. As I mentioned in my original post, he and I work in similar fields. The company he worked for called the company I work for and asked me if I was satisfied with work he had done for us. I told them everything in detail and that, as long as he worked there I would make sure that we never used them again. That did the trick. He moved a few weeks later. He burned a lot of bridges that couldn't be repaired. Absolutely. She didn't want me to tell them but I was feeling very vindictive at the time. I admire my kids for being very mature about the situation. They didn't take sides and love both of us. My oldest had the hardest time with it but he's doing well now. Second story. Wife has been having an affair. Am I doing the right thing? This might be a long one, so buckle yourself in. I, 34M, discovered my wife, 33F, has been having an affair that appears to have been going on since the start of 2024. I have been in a relationship with this woman for 14 years and married for 5. We have a son who is almost 2. For a tiny background piece, we both started the gym at the start of 2024 with different goals, but we both have had massive changes and look great. Sex throughout 2024 was amazing, but we have had arguments. We had booked an expensive family holiday in April for August, in 2 days. We've discussed having another child, booking our 5-year anniversary trip, etc. My wife isn't a lazy person, per se, but she definitely doesn't pull her weight in the house, be it cleaning, cooking, washing, etc. Just general stuff we have to do as grown-ups, which has caused issues in the past. July 19, 2024. My wife goes on a work night out. I finish work earlier so she can get ready to go out, etc. Nothing unusual throughout the night apart from a lack of general texts. She came home at 4 a.m. later than usual and acting weird. I called it out and asked if she was okay. Confirmed she was fine, etc., and I was being weird. We literally ended up arguing for the majority of that weekend because of this, to which I end up apologizing because clearly I thought something was up when it wasn't. July 25, 2024, I am at home for the day with my son. My wife is working from home. I received a letter in the post that just says check messenger requests, very odd. Checked Facebook and somebody had created a fake profile Paul Good and had sent me a message. The message confirmed they know me and my wife and are doing this anonymously, as they don't want to ruin our friendship, etc. They confirmed they saw my wife leaving a bar, holding another man's hand. They followed them down to the canals, where my wife mounted him and they were kissing passionately, with hands everywhere, the person said, even detailing the fact my wife was clearly wearing his hoodie and he was wearing her jacket. As you can imagine, my heart was pumping, adrenaline racing, I was shaking. But, given the events at the weekend, I was sure this was true. I approached my wife and said, be honest with me here. Did you cheat on me Friday night? She gave the most disgusted and shocked face ever and proclaimed no. Why? I explained the message and details I'd received, to which she gave up the act and said okay, yeah I did. We argued about it pretty much the entire day, with my wife trickle-truthing the shit out of me. It started as a drunken kiss, didn't know why they were holding hands, to somebody she'd been talking to at work, but only a nudists and flirting, etc., and they didn't plan to kiss, exclaiming she loves me and didn't want to hurt me, etc., confirming that on the Monday of that week, July 22, 2024, she had contacted him via Works Messenger and called it off, saying she didn't want to do it anymore. With the way she had dribbled facts, I wasn't sure at all. I demanded she contact the guy via voice call and tell him not only do I know, but that I want to meet him to talk. She did. He answered and agreed, etc. The next day, I was set on meeting him, but after a conversation with a friend, I decided not to. I can't risk losing my job or a criminal record, because I would have wanted to hurt this man. I contacted him and we arranged a phone call instead. He, verbatim, confirmed what she had said. Now I'm generally quite cynical, but I knew with the words he was using, that there wasn't a chance this was coincidental. Returned home where myself and my wife argued more about this. Me confirming I didn't believe what either of them had said and it is too coincidental, etc. I pushed for why they were holding hands in the bar. We just got close. I pushed as to what their convos at work were like. We just had general chats and flirting. I thought fuck off. She also confirmed that after the kissing on the night out, she had texted him saying she loved me, etc. Okay. She even started to repeat that she doesn't know why it happened and can't explain. So, on the third day after finding out, we continued talking well into the evening. I was getting more and more irate. But, I discovered my wife is a terrible liar, and if you just pick at the thread of the story she's told, it all unravels. I told her I wasn't fucking about anymore. Either she tell me everything now, or I am gone. Both. She's just hurting me more by lying. My wife confirmed. My wife has been unhappy since the start of 2024. Didn't initially say more than that. They had started speaking around the start of the year and this was every day all day at work. Using Teams Messenger, things had begun to become sexual. Chat-wise, the flirting was them basically sexting, complimenting how each other look and what they want to do to each other, etc. The story they both told me had been planned in advance if they were ever caught. They had confirmed July 1, 2024, that they had feelings for each other. They had kissed on a previous work night, out earlier in the year, at the start of them talking, and they had arranged this latest night out, with the aim of being the last ones out together. He had asked if she would leave me for him, to which apparently she replied, "I'm confused. Apparently nothing sexual other than kissing and mounting has ever occurred. We've never met on lunch at work or after work. Their only two encounters outside of the office were the nights out." She didn't text him after the night out, but is adamant she contacted him the following Monday to call it off, because the weekend had shown her what she was doing and she now knew what she wanted. I have since spoken to him again. He has confirmed he did lie and it was the story they cooked up. He assured me, for what it's worth, no sexual activity or sex has taken place, but he did say to me, "No matter what happens, I just want to make sure she's happy." That bit hurt me. Another important fact, I am now bald, lost my hair a year or two ago. I have never been able to grow a great beard and I am only 5'7". She confirmed the things she found sexy about this man were his hair, his beard, his height, his face, etc. So basically, everything I am not. My wife spent a week at her sister's. Our main contact was related to my son, but in this time, I sent her an email detailing the hurt and betrayal I feel. My wife responded with an email and she called me on the phone. She confirmed she'd been unhappy since the end of 2023. The more she's thinking about it now, the more she realizes the unhappiness was apparently all her own making and not me. She said that she didn't feel listened to at the end of the year, thought she couldn't talk to me and that anything she did wasn't enough. But apparently she sees now that all I have wanted is for her to work with me as part of a team, and she saw that as me attacking her, etc., which drove her away from me. She apologized for the baby talk, the holiday, etc., but confirms those are things she wants but shouldn't have had those conversations with me whilst having an affair, etc. Regrets the affair, you know the usual. Confirms the guy's number has been deleted off socials and isn't going to speak with him at work again. She will even move job if that's what she has to do. August 3rd, 2024. My wife came back to the house. We talked more. I confirmed that I am willing to try to move past this, but I couldn't promise I can. I also said that at this point, I am not willing to forgive her because the hurt is too real. She was happy at this and confirmed she thought she had lost me, etc. We had sex later that night, multiple times. It felt amazing. I have since read online that this is called hysterical bonding and can take place after an affair. I have been the lowest I have ever been in my life because of this. I have questioned my own self-worth. My confidence is destroyed. She has assured me the sex this year was all us and he never played a part in this, but I don't believe it. I find one day I am feeling good, we feel great, etc. Then it hits me and it's like being forced underwater, just fighting so hard to take a breath. Ultimately, if we can move past this, I want to, but I know the memory's pain will stay no matter what. Also, how will I ever know if they just continue? I genuinely feel at this point that the only reason they may never start up again is the reason I found out. She has confirmed not going out with friends or work anymore, but I have said why. If you are telling me you can't go on a night out and get drunk without cheating on me, then we can't be together. I am not going to chain her up, not allow contact with work friends and nights out, just to keep her from acting on desires, whether or not they are there. Has anyone been through something similar? I feel like I move one step forward and six back. The mental toll this has taken has been ridiculous. She has been understanding. I should bloody hope so. When I have asked further questions or been angry because of something I remembered, etc. For me too could have handled a drunk and random kiss. We have all been there and got caught up in a singular moment, etc. But it's the willing deception, using my own habits against me, knowing trust was there and abusing it so she could feel good. Why do they always say I didn't want to hurt you? Just to confirm, I had initially said I wasn't going to go for the family holiday, August 10th in Turkey. with her sister, husband and kids too, etc. But I am going now. If anything, I want the time and memories with my son. Must admit, I'm half believing they didn't have sex. But I'm fully thinking this is my mind just trying to protect me further by pushing the concept away. If they did, there's no hope at reconciliation and she knows this, which would only fuel the need to not tell me that part. It's painful to admit, but you're right. I've had this woman on a pedestal for our entire relationship, always believing she was the better person, etc. Geez, life comes at you fast, doesn't it? I appreciate the kind words. The photo is a little old now, so I should update. The woman is an actress in the UK who was in a show called EastEnders. That's the issues I'm having now. As much I want to push forward and move to try, I keep getting tangled up in thoughts like the ones you've said. Thank you.